Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles. And in this week's local news, beware of phone scams. And the Downtown Development Authority has a new director.
Stay tuned and learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. Another Oxford resident discovered their credit card has been compromised. Police received a report that a Valley View Drive resident was notified by phone alert of possible fraudulent activity on her card. It appears that someone purchased merchandise overnight totaling in excess of $400. The woman notified the bank and filed a police report. The thief has not been located.
A Pine Ridge resident reported items were stolen from his parked car outside of his home last week, and the man said that he lost more than $7,000 worth of personal items taken overnight. However, when Oxford police arrived, they found no damage to the man's vehicle and the doors were locked. The investigation continues.
In two separate incidents last week, residents from the Oxford area were approached by a scam artist via telephone. The first reported victim told Oakland County deputies that she received a telephone call from a man identifying herself as an agent of the Criminal Investigation Department of the IRS. The scammer claimed that the woman owed nearly $2,000 in unpaid taxes. Furthermore, if she did not pay up immediately, she could spend up to 9 months in prison. The resident unfortunately contacted the IRS to verify the story only after she sent the money. An IRS representative then told her that she was caught by a well-known scam, and I don't think it was well known to her though. A second complaint was from a First Street resident claiming a similar phone call. Instead of sending money, the man sent the police after the caller. The case is still under investigation.
A routine traffic stop by Oakland County deputies found a driver with a suspended license, possession of liquor, and 3 bags of suspected marijuana and a pipe. You guessed it, the man was arrested and taken to jail.
It looks as though still another pipeline may be traveling through Oxford and Addison townships. E.T. Rover Pipeline Company, who represents Dallas-based Energy Transfer Partners, ETP, has been presenting proposals for the townships to acquire easements for the gas line project. According to Addison Township Supervisor Bruce Pearson, the company is listening to property owner concerns and they plan to act on the input. Bruce has a personal concern due to the fact that the line would be crossing his land. The company has said that they will attempt to bypass smaller tracts of property in favor of larger parcels where there would be the least amount of discernible disruption. Obviously, there is still a great deal up for discussion and negotiation before anything solid is decided.
On the recommendation of the Downtown Development Authority, the Village Council decided on a new director for the authority by a 5-0 vote. Virginia Shomish, who has a bachelor's in science and architecture and a master's of science in historic preservation, will accept the job on a trendy part-time basis. Shomish currently lives in the Ypsilanti area but plans to move to Oxford soon. Chairman of the DDA board, Bill Dunn, told the Village Council that it was a tough job choosing someone who would be the new director. Shomish told the council she is eager to start a new job and get involved with the community as soon as possible.
A 15-year-old Addison Township resident and Oxford High School student Nathan Eisenhart won the men's skeet championship held in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Nathan is a modest young man who shot 49 out of 50 skeet to win. But he pointed out that there's always room for improvement. By the way, he just missed by a hair making the National Junior Shooting Team or the Junior Olympic squad. He thinks his nerves got the best of him, and under his division, he is considered, though, one of the top 6 shooters in the nation. Nathan will be a junior at Oxford this year.
It is an American freedom, and we, the voters, are being asked to participate in the August primary election when our various political parties choose their candidates for the upcoming November election. But closer to home in our local August primary, voters will be asked to decide on local tax issues and service spending that you may or may not want to support with your tax dollars. Do you want to finance a $20 million community recreation center, or do you want to provide tax support for the North Oakland Transportation Authority? Those and other tax-related issues on our primary ballot are depending on you and whether you live in the village or the township. If in any event, all elections affect your life and the people you know, so if you're not registered to vote on August 5th, call your local clerk for assistance on how to get registered and where to vote on the August 5th primary. I'm not. I knew you were going to ask. I'm not registered. No, we moved in May, and that's just something I haven't thought about, getting registered to vote and changing my driver's license.
Well, that is pretty
I
important.
haven't done that yet. I know it really is.
You understand that if it weren't for one vote, that we would be speaking German in the United States at this time.
Oh, I didn't understand
English?
any of
Yes.
that. I'll get down there. It's just something
really important.
Yeah, it's easy to forget. It's like buying spaghetti when you go to the grocery store. It's not something you do every day, so you forget it. So
I see how that works.
So speaking of spaghetti, this is not related at all, but Bill and I had a really cool experience this week with Devin Skillian, and he is going to be playing our main event in the park on August 2nd before the 5th primary, and I can really encourage people to
That's
go
Lone
down
Ranger
and-
Day.
Lone Ranger Day in the park, so
Yeah, very
at
good.
the gazebo.
I hear he's really, really musically talented, and he writes his own music too.
Yeah, he's multi-layered. He's written 15 children's books, awards on 4, and writes his own music, and certainly his newscasts, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's an
right.
anchor man on Channel 4.
Yeah, nice guy. But I
great.
encourage everybody to get down to the park.
Speaking of nice people, you haven't met the new DDA director?
I have not.
She's nicknamed Jenny. First name is Virginia.
Oh, okay, good, Jenny.
Skomish, I think is her last name. Really, really nice young lady.
Good.
So you'll look
Great,
forward to it. And
yeah.
you folks out there too, you'll see her around town.
Sounds like she's ready to hit the ground running, so let's give her a challenge. And everybody get out to the park and get out to the Lone Ranger Days, and let's keep Oxford active.
Hi-yo Silver.
That's it for Oxford News this week. If you'd like to learn more about these stories and others, go to your local store and pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper.
And coming up next on OCTV, Oxford Local Sports with Andy Curtis and Oxford School News with John Oetjens. And join us with Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kenny.
I'm Terry Stiles, and that's it for Oxford News this week.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
You are watching the Michigan American Legion's Station of the Year for the 5th year in a row, Oxford Community Television.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. And our first story, pricing on the 2015 Yaris, Toyota's struggling subcompact car, will start at $15,670, including shipping. Toyota gave the 2015 Yaris a facelift in hopes that the newer look will attract more buyers. It's offered in standard, premium, and sport trim and is set to go on sale in early August. The base Yaris will be priced at $415 more than the 2014 model. The 2015 model is the first to be made available with a navigation system as a dealer-installed option. All models are equipped with Yaris N-Tune audio, which includes 6-inch touchscreen, iPod connectivity, hands-free phone capability, and voice recognition. Under the hood, the 2015 model features a 106 horsepower, 1.5-liter, 16-valve, 4-cylinder engine with variable valve timing intelligence. Buyers will have the choice between a 5-speed manual transmission and a 4-speed automatic. The Yaris has lagged U.S. sales down 29% to 8,532 vehicles through June in a segment that has been strong overall. The base 2015 Yaris offers the bare minimum of standard features. Buyers have to spend an extra $1,600 for the limited trim line, priced at $17,330, including shipping, to get standard features such as cruise control, power mirrors, and remote keyless entry. And over at Hyundai, this lightly disguised Hyundai being tested in the California desert shows the Korean automaker preparing a move into the newly crowded commercial van segment against Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, Ford Transit, and Ram ProMaster. Details of the Hyundai offering are sparse, including whether it will be rear-wheel drive like the Transit or Sprinter, or front-wheel drive like the ProMaster, and whether it will be even offered in North America. And on the recall front, General Motors is recalling another 17,950 U.S. vehicles, mostly 2010 to 2012 model years and crossovers, lifting its total for the year to a record 60 safety campaigns covering around 29 million vehicles globally. GM said the safety defects in the latest vehicles been recalled have been linked to 2 crashes and 3 injuries. The largest campaign covers 414,333 cars and crossovers with power height adjustable driver or front passenger seats. GM said that a bolt that secures the height adjuster actuator may come loose or fall out, causing the seat to move up and down freely. The vehicles are safe to drive, but customers should not use the power height adjustable feature until dealers can replace the height adjuster bolt, GM said. The problem affects 2011 to 2012 Chevrolet Camaro coupes, 2010 to 2012 Chevrolet Equinox and GMC Terrain crossovers, 2011 to 12 Buick Regal and LaCrosse sedans, and 2010 to 2012 Cadillac SRX crossovers. GM says it knows of 1 crash and 3 injuries related to the problem, but no fatalities. And over at Chrysler, can you say ignition? Chrysler Group will recall as many as 792,300 2006 to 2007 Jeep Commanders and 2005 to 2006 Jeep Grand Cherokees globally to fix ignition switches that could be knocked out of the on position, causing a stall and possible loss of power to the airbags. Engineers are still developing a fix, and the company says it is initiating a recall out of an abundance of caution. The SUV recall is unrelated to an earlier recall involving 2009 to 2010 Dodge Journeys, 2008 to 2010 Dodge Grand Caravans, and 2008 to 2010 Chrysler Town & Country minivans for the same reason, a spokesman for Chrysler said. The Jeep recall covers an estimated 650,000 Commanders and Grand Cherokee SUVs in the United States and another 41,600 in Canada and Mexico, and the remainder overseas. Chrysler said it knows of 1 accident and no injuries related to the ignition switch issues with the Commander or Grand Cherokee. Chrysler said its investigation suggests an outside force, usually attributed to contact with the driver's knee, may knock the ignition keys from the on position. The company said that the condition may cause engine stall, reduced airbag or reduced braking power, and making steering more difficult. Safety features such as front airbags may also be disabled. Chrysler is advising owners of the recalled Commanders and Grand Cherokees to ensure that there is clearance between their knees and their keys. The company is also advising owners to remove all items from their key rings, leaving only their ignition keys. And boy, does that sound like GM. Well, that's all for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television, and we'll be right back.
I'm Oakland County Sheriff Mike Bouchard and former Red Wing great Joey Koser reminding you to follow the rules regarding boater safety. Always operate at safe speeds, avoid alcohol, and wear a life jacket. Don't let a great day on the water be ruined by bad decisions.
This is OCTV, Oxford Community Television, serving Oxford and Addison Townships with the best in local programming. On Charter Channel 191, AT&T UVerse Channel 99, and our website, OCCTV.org. OCTV, we provide local programming that brings you closer to home.
Come on out for Friday night fish at the Oxford American Legion Hall. It's delicious.
We love the Legion. They have great fish and good family fun.
American Legion fish fry. It's awesome. And the drinks are good, the food is good, the service is awesome.
I'm John Oetjens, and welcome to the Oxford Wildcats School Update. It's MEEP test results time again, and the matter was discussed at the most recent school board meeting. Dr. Jim Schwarz went through the scores for the board. In the not proficient overall scores, we were below the state percentage in nearly every category, a good thing, and close to Oakland County averages. According to Schwarz, the most important thing is improvement over time. In this area, the improvement at Oxford schools has earned us additional funding.
When you look at our scores overall, and you include not just the MME, but you include the MEEP, in terms of overall student performance, I think we have to reflect on the fact that we're making some good strides. Yeah, we have some peaks and valleys. We have some improvements to make in some areas. Social studies and writing are going to be big focus areas this year for us particularly. But we do need to recognize that the district was awarded the Student Performance Grant by the state this year. Student Performance Grant is a grant that Governor Snyder had signed to go into place for this budget year, looking at overall improvement of individual students over time. And they've awarded $30 per student for students in elementary and middle school for success in math and reading, looking at the MEEP scores from the fall, and looking at individual students and have they grown from the previous year. So they look at that rate of improvement, and if you've exceeded a certain rate of improvement, numbers of individual students who have made improvements in those two subjects, they awarded you $30 a student. We received that, so we were eligible for those monies. In high school, they look at all of the tested subjects, not just reading and math, but they look at all the tested subjects, including writing, social studies, and science, with reading and math. And they do a 4-year trend. And they look at your high schoolers over all of those subjects individually, and looking at a certain number, did they make proficiency in all of those over those 4 years? Did they increase in their proficiency, I should say, and jump levels from a 3 to a 2, 2 to a 1, a 4 to a 3? They look at all those bumps and improvements. And if you've achieved a certain rate, you get $40 a student. We received that. So we received an extra $100 per student in funding for this fiscal year because of the performance of our students on these exams.
Assistant Superintendent Dr. Jim Schwarz. We visited the Streeter Horse Farm in Oxford, where we found a special group of children. A Chinese summer camp is taking place this week. 25 elementary school kids from our sister school in China, along with another 25 of our kids, have been participating. The visitors are staying with 13 of our families. Oxford elementary teacher Matt Robedek is the overseer. He comments on the experience.
I talked to some of the parents, and they talked about how well the children from China have just fit in and melded right into their family. And a couple of them said, like, it's going to be really hard for John or Sally when they leave. They've already really grown attached.
One of the visitors stayed at Julie Jones' house. She tells us about her experience.
Well, I get to learn more Chinese from the Chinese kids and see what they usually do, and I get to watch them experience new things.
So you're taking Chinese in school here. How long have you been studying that?
Since kindergarten.
Wow.
Hi.
And are you going to, do you plan on continuing on and taking more of it?
Yeah.
How are you doing at understanding what they say? Are you figuring out pretty well?
Yeah, a little bit, but when they're talking to friends, I can't understand them talking too fast.
Tuo Zhan teaches Chinese at Oxford Elementary. She was helping out at the camp. Tuo shares her thoughts on the experience.
I think it's it's a great opportunity for them. It's like eye-opening opportunity because they can stay in the host families and they can talk, communicate with the family members that are using English, right? And the American kids are also using Chinese. So it's kind of, mutual communication. I think it's a great way for them to experience different culture and language.
It was pointed out to me that many of these kids had never even seen a horse before, much less paint one. Here's a couple admiring their work and their subject. That's the Oxford Wildcat School News for this week. Dave Kenny's up next with Science in the News, then Andy Curtis with Sports. This is Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.
I'm Andy Curtis, and this is your Oxford Sports Update. Well, I hope you all had a good weekend because mine was once again ruined by the Tigers, who blew another one Sunday 2-1 behind a pretty good day on the mound for starting pitcher Slick Rick Porcello. 2 dropped 3 out of 4 against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim in what some are saying could be a very probable playoff preview. Oh, and by the way, we can start overreacting to something other than our bullpen, with the offense not making the flight to the West Coast and only scoring 2 runs in 3 games this entire weekend. Now, this continues the team's frustrating losing streak in Anaheim, where they were swept in 6 games in 2013 and haven't won a series at the Halos home park since 2010. Now, after taking a deep breath, though, I guess I should back off the ledge a little bit, though, because even with the loss on Sunday, the Tigers are still 5 games up in first place in the AL Central. Now, a bright spot over the week, though, was the pickup of some pitching help, and you heard it here first last week that the Tigers were setting their sights on Texas Ranger reliever Joakim Soria, also finally known as the Executioner, and the team pulled the trigger on the move last week, trading pitching prospects Corey Knievel and Jake Thompson to the Rangers for the 30-year-old with a 2.70 ERA, .87 WHIP, and 42 strikeouts with only 4 walks in his last 33 innings pitched. The Tigers with this move hopefully are one step closer to their all-or-nothing bid for a World Series championship this year and look to have possibly patched some of the leaks the bullpen had. Soria worked as our current closer Joe Nathan's setup man last season in Texas and will be used in the 7th, 8th, and possibly 9th inning if need be here with the Tigers. Moving over to football, the Lions started their most optimistic time of the year with training camp this week, still with star defensive tackle Ndamukong Suh not getting any closer to a deal as he enters the final season of his contract. After being drafted in 2010 with the 2nd overall pick by the Lions, Suh will count around $22.4 million against the Lions' salary cap this season. Now, of course, I know what you're thinking at home, and yes, the NFL salary cap is the amount of money each of the NFL teams can spend on their players' salaries within the year. So that means if the team and Mr. Suh could come up with some sort of new agreement, they could have some more financial room to sign a few more desperately needed free agents. But, in typical Lions fashion, what is looking more and more to be a more realistic option, Suh and company will not be able to reach an agreement, and he will either become a free agent next season and more than likely leave Detroit, or get the franchise tag from the team, keeping him in Detroit but costing the Leos $26.9 million next year. Now for today's sports vocabulary word of the day, whip, or walks plus hits per inning, which is a way to measure the number of base runners a pitcher has allowed per inning pitched. The lower the whip, the better. Whip is actually calculated by adding the numbers of walks and hits and then dividing this number by the innings pitched. Currently, the Los Angeles Dodgers' Clayton Kershaw has the lowest whip in the majors with a .80. Now, I'm Andy Curtis, and remember, you can catch all our broadcasts of your favorite Oxford High School and now Park and Rec League games weekends between 1 and 6 right here on OCTV. Or you can always check us out online under the programs section of OCTV.org and find us now on Facebook. And remember, this is your community access station, so if you have an idea for a sports story or shoot you want us to do, give me an email at andrewcurtis23@gmail.com and put OCTV Sports in the subject line. That was all the sports news you need to know. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.
Congratulations, OCTV, as the 2014 winner of the American Legion's Best Electronic Media Award, symbolizing your efforts to provide meaningful coverage of veterans issues and patriotic activities, as well as the American Legion.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, rocks seem to have stymied China's U-2 or Jade Rabbit lunar rover. A malfunction means U-2 has been stuck 20 meters from its landing site since January. On July 21st, the mission's deputy chief designer told the Xinhua news agency that the rover may have been damaged by unexpectedly gravelly terrain. And back on Earth, African elephants have almost 2,000 genes for smell receptors. That is more than any other animal studied, twice as many as dogs, and 5 times more than us. Well, no wonder their trunks are so long. And we've all eaten something that doesn't agree with us, but probably not on the scale that moose do. They eat a grass that is so toxic it can make animals' hooves fall off. Yet, the moose are resolutely hoofed, suggesting they have a way to counteract the toxin. That makes sense. Evolution would favor moose that could handle more of the toxin. There are precedents. Some baboons have chemicals in their saliva that bind to toxins in their food, rendering them harmless, and some plant-eating insects go even further and actually deactivate plants' defense systems. No one thought that backboned animals could pull off the insect's trick. But now it's been discovered that moose can switch off a plant's toxic defenses at the source. They do it using a mysterious chemical in their saliva that interferes with the signaling processes inside the plant. In effect, moose can detoxify their food by licking it. Moose are the largest species of deer in the world. The male size and antlers have evolved because they compete so furiously for females. Males may defend a single female or an entire harem, but either way they face regular challenges from rival males. Growing massive antlers and then fighting over girls takes a lot of energy, so moose need to eat a lot. But they have a problem. A significant part of their diet is a common grass called red fescue. These plants contain a fungus which makes a toxin called ergobolene. Grazing animals that eat too much ergobolene can lose parts of their feet, tails, and ears and develop digestive problems. So how come moose can eat the stuff? Andrew Tanzep of the University of Cambridge and his colleagues decided to find out. Tanzep's team simulated grazing by clipping red fescue and smearing it with moose or reindeer saliva. 8 weeks later, the ergobolene levels in the smeared plants were between 40 and 70% lower than those in unclipped plants or in clipped plants that were smeared with water. Herbivores can actually fight back, says Tanzep. No one has ever thought of this, and many other grazing animals might have similar saliva tricks, he adds. The moose saliva also slowed the growth of the fungus itself. That is less surprising because many animal saliva has antifungal properties, including human saliva. The impressive bit is that the effect on ergobolene production, which must involve interrupting a signal passed from the plant to its fungal inhabitants. If these animals continuously graze on some plants, then it would be quite beneficial, says Gary Fenton of Penn State University. We are still uncovering novel roles for saliva, he says. For instance, sheep saliva actually stimulates plants to grow. Wow. And in our last story, in the market for a really fast ride? If so, September 8th may be your lucky day. Collectors looking to shell out for a major piece of aerospace history will have a chance to place their bids on this Collard Scramjet, one of the fastest machines ever to fly. The first Collard was launched by the Central Institute of Aviation Motors, or CIAM, in 1991, just weeks before the dissolution of the USSR. CIAM then joined forces with NASA, and in 1998, the rocket flew at a record-breaking Mach 6.47, that's nearly 8,000 kilometers an hour. 9 Collard rockets were made, but 5 were destroyed during test flight, so you're unlikely to feel the embarrassment of rolling up next to another one at a red light. As for how much this little beauty will cost you, oh, we don't know. It's being sold in London without estimate or reserve, so pack your pockets. Well, that's all for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television, and we'll be right back.
You are watching the Michigan American Legion's Station of the Year for the 5th year in a row, Oxford Community Television.